What is up, geeks? So Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, just was released, and you're probably wondering what order you should be watching it, whether you are a new fan who hasn't seen any of the Star Wars movies before, or if you're an older fan who needs to watch it in a different order, just to refresh your memory before you watch Episode 7. Well, if you are a completely new guy who hasn't seen any of the Star Wars movies, this viewing order algorithm is for you. I call it the Star Wars viewing order algorithm. If you are 30 years old or younger, I would go with the chronological order. So what that means, you would watch the prequel trilogy first, which is episodes 1, 2, and 3. Then you would go with the original trilogy, which is episode 4, 5, then 6. Now the reason why I go with this order, without giving anything away, is the fact that the special effects are much better in the prequel trilogy. So you will be captivated and you're going to want to watch all the cool special effects. And then once you get a feel for the characters and you want to know what happens to them after, you would want to watch the original trilogy. Now, if you tried watching the original trilogy first, I've tested this out with a bunch of people who haven't seen Star Wars before. And a lot of the times with episode 4, it's a slow-paced movie. The special effects aren't the same and not up to par with all the movie effects that we have nowadays. So a lot of the times they fall asleep or they just don't pay attention. So that's why I would go with the chronological order if you are younger than 30 years old. Now, if you are 30 years old or older, then I would go with the original order, the traditional order, the order of release. So in 1977, Star Wars Episode 4, which wasn't known as Episode 4 at the time, A New Hope, came out. It was just called Star Wars, but anyway, it was Episode 4 came out first, and then 3 years later, Episode 5 came out, then Episode 6, which is the original trilogy, and then we had the prequels about 16 years later, and so that would be the traditional order of viewing it. Now, what's great about this order, if you have an appreciation for older movies, which you probably do because you're older than 30, then what's great about that is the fact that you will be able to watch the original trilogy and watch it the way that everyone else, traditionally watched it, and you get the big reveal in Episode 5 without giving it away, and you get to see how he, became who he was afterwards, after all that happened, without giving anything away, But anyways, so that's my algorithm for you guys who hasn't seen any of the Star Wars movies yet. But let's say that you finished the saga before, maybe you've seen it like 50 times each like me, then you're probably going to want to try these other side orders of viewing. First one goes like this. It's the flashback order. Now, a lot of people like the machete order. This is like a bit of a variation of the machete order. The thing is, the machete order completely erases Episode 1, and I'm not really for that because, although Jar Jar Binks is like a terrible character and, there's so many terrible things in that movie, there are redeeming qualities, and of course it's canon, it's Star Wars, so I love it either way. And of course Darth Maul and the lightsaber duel at the end, Duel of the Fates, great stuff in that movie, so it's worth watching. So anyways, that order is 4, 5, and then after the reveal, you would go back to Episode 1, 2, then 3, and then finish it off with the redemption in Episode 6. So that's the flashback order. Variation 1. There's 2 variations of the flashback order. I know it gets a little bit confusing because there's so many different viewing orders, but anyway, the second version of that, which I actually found out pretty recent too, is Episode 4, and then you flash back because Obi-Wan says something in Episode 4. I won't give it anything away, but to those who are still watching who haven't seen Star Wars, he does mention the Clone Wars. And so we go back to Episode 1 right after Episode 4, then finish off the prequel trilogy, then go back to Episode 5, and then finish it off with the redemption Episode 6. What's cool about that variation is the fact that the progression of, a certain character going to the dark side, it finishes it all the way out to Episode 5. And that really shows the evilness of the character. And so Episode 6 finishes it great because, it's the redemption. And then finally, I have a certain order that I recently tried out myself that I love, and it might actually be my favorite order now. I call it the Star Wars Poetic Order. Now, the thing about Star Wars is there's a lot of poetry. There are a lot of beats in each trilogy that rhyme. So meaning, like with Episode 1, a lot of things happen in Episode 4 that episode 1 took a lot from. And the same thing goes with episode 5 and episode 2. Same thing with 6 and 3. Now they're not completely lined up. The tones are completely different in both trilogies, but there are things that are like motifs or things that you can really see where that original idea came from. I won't get into specifics, but you guys know that when you watch episode 4, it's very similar to watching episode 1. And the prequel trilogy really fed off a lot from the original. And if you haven't seen the video, look up Star Wars Poetry, and it really shows you better than what I'm saying, how both trilogies really rhyme well with each other. But anyway, the order for that one is episode 1, then you would go to episode 4, then episode 2, then episode 5, then episode 3, then episode 6. What's great about that is like if you've seen Star Wars as many times as I have, going back from each trilogy, back and forth is really captivating. It keeps you in, because sometimes when you've seen it as much as I have, if you're watching like all these movies in a row, sometimes it's so predictable that you might even get sleepy, or you won't be as attentive. But being that you're going back and forth from each trilogy to the next, you are really in it, and you get to compare each character and see how it really ties in all together as a whole entire saga. You compare Anakin in episode 1 to Luke and see what kind of things they did the same and what kind of things they did differently. So that's actually my new favorite order. And the reason why I don't start with 4 in that case is the fact that you'd end up, if you go back and forth, you'd end up ending with 3. And there's only one order that I'm okay with ending with episode 3, and that's the traditional order. For those who haven't seen Star Wars yet, who are above 30. Sorry if you guys are getting confused all these formulas, but I call this the Star Wars viewing order algorithm, so you can already guess that it's pretty complicated. But I've thought about this a lot. I've tried this with so many different people, and it works. And so the reason, again, I don't end with episode 3 is the fact that it ends on a very depressing note, and not only that, it leaves you wanting more. So a perfect ending would be episode 6, so you have to do episode 6. But anyway, that sums up all the orders that I would suggest for you guys. Just to give you guys an overview again, starting from the beginning. If you haven't seen Star Wars at all, there are 2 viewing orders that I suggest for you. If you are younger than 30, I would go with the chronological order, episodes 1 through 6. And then if you are older than 30, I would go with the traditional order, which is the order of release, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. If you are 30 years old, you can choose from either one. I'm not really sure what you would do with that. Maybe you would probably just go with the traditional order. I'd say 30 and above would be the cutoff, I guess. And if you're younger than 30, then it would be chronological. Anyway, if you've seen Star Wars before, then we go to the side orders, the extra viewing orders, which is the flashback order, which is 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. Then the variation 2 of that is 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, then 6. And then finally, the ultimate one that I suggest is Star Wars Poetic Order, which is 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6. And there are a bunch of other ones I know. I've looked them up, and if you have other ones, you could suggest it down below. Anyway, I would love to hear some feedback from you guys, knowing what order you'd love. Now, how does episode 7 change your viewing order now? But anyway, all my fans, I will be posting a new review tomorrow. It is the Star Wars spoilers review, so I'll get into all the details. It might be a long video, but basically I saw it in IMAX 3D not too long ago, Thursday night on opening night, and then I'll be watching it again tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, and it'll be standard definition, so no 3D, but I wanted to watch that again just to get a different way of viewing it. And not only that, seeing it for a second time will allow me to post a better review for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy that for tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but thank you guys for watching. Until next time, embrace, express, and enjoy yourself. May the Force be with you always, my young Padawan. Check out my nice Vader sweater.